Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we've got a bit more information about Rogue Trader, the Kill Team expansion, or at least that's what it looks like. And we're also going to talk a little bit about just the general, I was going to say state of Kill Team, it's not out yet, but the previews that we've seen for the various factions. We can have a quick chat about that, because some of it feels a little underwhelming, and some of it seems great and genuinely exciting. So to start with, there will be a link in the description to the two articles that have the information and images for the Rogue Trader stuff. I'm not going to stick it in the video because the images are frankly garbage quality to begin with. They're like wonky photos of text that are at weird angles, and frankly some of them are JPEG'd to fuck. So I'm just going to link you to them, because by the time they've been put in the video, encoded, and then sent through YouTube's quality rinser, they're going to be practically unreadable. So just go and have a look at them on the site. It's a lot easier. I'm taking this from Faiet 212, which is where these images will be found if you follow the link in the description. And it's just a little bit of information about what the two factions are, basically. So we have the Star Striders, which are the actual Rogue Traders. And there's a little bit of information about, you know, what the different characters are, who the different people are, what kind of things to expect. So there's like a bit of Cult Mechanica stuff going on as well. It's like a little bit of background lore for the actual Rogue Trader side of the box, which is cool. And the same thing was done for the enemy, which is the Gellerpox mutants. And again, it's just information on different characters. There's a couple of references to actual like unit names by the look of it. So there's Nightmare Hulks, which is nice. There's Glitchlings. Yeah, there's some. It's just little snippets of information, but it does a little bit to build up what the box is and what it contains a little bit. At this point, I no longer have any idea which leaks are legit and which ones are actually Games Workshop just leaking it. I would assume that a genuinely serious amount of leaks are in fact Games Workshop putting it out, because it builds up the hype, and it means when they do the inevitable article following up on the leaks, it probably does a lot better than if it appeared out of the blue. But that's fine by me, because frankly I want information, and we get information. I don't really care whether it's a manipulative side of things anyway. We're already addicted to the plastic crack, as Games Workshop well knows, so a little bit of self-leakage, what a terrible phrase, to be expected really, isn't it? So let's talk a little bit about Kill Team itself. I don't want to go on too long about this, because as I say, it's not out, we can't play it, so judging things like balance, I don't think there's any point doing that right now, because there's nothing to judge. There's no balance to really comment on. What I will say instead is that the overall build-up for Kill Team has been quite good. I've enjoyed the way they've done it. They've done it very similarly to the way that they do the Codex releases. You know, with covering the different factions, or at least the different tactics and different abilities that you will get. Instead, it's been focusing on the different factions that are in Kill Team itself. And for the most part, I've been impressed and I've quite enjoyed them. But there's a couple that I have to admit I am genuinely just a little bit disappointed by. Now, I understand that on the scale that Kill Team is at, like the skirmish game scale, you cannot throw every unit from every codex into the mix. That's not how that's going to work. Some will be far too powerful, some will be far too good. You can't just dump everything in there and hope it all works out. You know, it's got to be balanced properly, because with so little in the way of model count and selection of units that you can feasibly take, you know, it's you can't just chuck everything in. I get that, I understand that, and that's fine. But there are a couple of factions that I am genuinely a little bit disappointed in. So the ones that stick out the most, the two that really struck me as being genuinely disappointing, are the Chaos Space Marines, the Heretic Astartes, and the Drukhari. Harlequins as well, to a certain extent. I know very little about the Harlequins, I'll be honest. I have never faced anyone who has them. I've never collected them myself. You know, they are very much a faction that I have no experience with. So them only having one unit that they can take, which is a player, which is, I assume, their general troops choice, I don't know whether that is good or bad, because I don't know what war gear they can take, I don't know how versatile they are, and I don't know what their stats are. So, you know, I can't comment on that. I know that there's not a huge amount of unit variation in that army, so if that is just what the army has, then obviously there's nothing to complain about there. But things like Heretic Astartes and Drukhari, Dark Eldar, the selection just feels a little bit lacking, if I'm honest. So the Drukhari get witches and I always mispronounce this. I'm just going to say Carbolites. I know that's not as pronounced, but whatever. Because I think it should be Cabalites, but that doesn't sound right either. The normal dudes, witches and the normal dudes, that's all they get for unit variation by the look of it. That's all that's covered in the preview. It's just the units, witches, Cabalites. And then for Heretic Astartes, it's just Chaos Space Marine and Cultist. And that's it. Like, I know they've got, you know, decent weapon selection, they've got decent variety in terms of things like being able to take melee and, you know, long range and all that shit, but it's just one of those things where the Chaos Space Marine Codex isn't like overflowing with options like the Space Marine Codex is, and of course the Space Marine Codex now has things like Reavers and Intercessors, both of which are available for Kill Team. But part of me feels like there's at least things like the Possessed that surely you could justify placing into the game. There's things like, I mean, even Raptors. Is there not some form of Raptor without jump pack or something? It feels a little bit lackluster, and the problem that I'm having is that, of course, we don't know how this is going to play out until we actually have our hands on the game, until we're able to test this, or until we're able to find out, you know, whether more variety is actually better or whether it really doesn't make any difference. It could be seen as kind of complaining about nothing, but a certain impression is given. Like, when you look at Tyranids, and Tyranids have got like 5 different options for Kill Team. When you look at, I mean, even Astra Militarum, even the Imperial Guard, even they've got 3 different varieties of things. I mean, Guardsman, Special Weapons, Gunner, and Tempestus Scion, yeah, but there is still at least the illusion of more variety there. Orcs have got a decent selection. Again, they've got a good 5 choices that they can take. Space Marines have got 4 different things. They've got the Scouts, they've got Tactical Marines, Reavers, and Intercessors. Next to that, Chaos Space Marine Cultist, it just feels a bit lacking. It feels a little bit just disappointing in general, I think is the only way to put it. There just seems to be more variety for so many other things. I mean, Tyranids are laughing because Genestealer Cults as well have got 5 different varieties that they can pick from. Adeptus Mechanicus has got 4. It just feels a bit... It just doesn't feel right, you know? It just feels a bit off, and there's no guarantee that I would go straight in with like a Chaos Space Marine force for Kill Team, because given the size of Kill Team, you feasibly can pick whatever you like. You know, you can start a Kill Team force of whatever you want for relatively cheap, and that would be all you'd need to do for that particular force in Kill Team. But when you're looking at variation, when you're looking at things like conversion opportunities and ways of building squads and all of that stuff, having that complete lack of choice does kind of affect the way that I'm thinking. Because, you know, at the moment I'm working on this Emperor's Children army, and I did think to myself, oh, it'd be great to use those in Kill Team as well. That'd be cool. And then the enthusiasm is slightly sapped when I look at the options that everyone else gets. Like, I would be better off if I wanted to do something that has a bit of variation, a bit of variety, and a bit of flexibility, going with just standard Space Marines over Chaos Space Marines, which feels a little bit off. It just doesn't feel quite... They're not on par with each other, if that makes sense. Now, of course, all of this could turn out to be wrong. This could just be all bollocks, what I'm talking. It could be that actually the balance is spot on. You only need those 2 things for that faction, and they are versatile enough that you can kit them out however you like. But on the face of it, before this thing is released and before we have that hands-on playtime, it just feels like some factions are getting more than others. And I don't know if that is a particularly... whether that is a particularly good way to go about things in the build-up to releasing a new product, because there are people who will be completely loyal to their armies, completely loyal to the forces that they've already got, who will look at it and be like, that's disappointing. I'm not sure how interested I am in this now, because that's, you know, I was hoping for interesting big things for my particular army, and that doesn't seem to have happened, which is a shame. Of course, more units could get rules further down the line. We could see things like expansions, we could see different things being included, but for now it just doesn't seem quite on par with itself, if that makes sense. Am I alone in that? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I don't know whether I'm being overly picky, I don't know whether I'm being, you know, a bit too high in my expectations, whether you think it's fine. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. There's the usual array of things to click: video, Patreon, subscribe, all of that shit. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to, and I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.